Welcome to this week's Dream Card judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name's George Cottle from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company as is. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
I'm Nigel Hicks. I've been a Supply League match official for the best part of 30 years and I'm an experienced football administrator.
Good morning, my name is Leo Donnellan. I'm an ex-professional football player, having been with Chelsea, Fulham and Leyton Orient.
Hi, my name's Matthew Ray. I've affiliated in multiple counties across England and have refereed from grassroots through to professional academies.
Good morning, my name's Peter Giorgio and I am a football and futsal referee.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, a mentor, a tutor and an observer.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector. I play football for Watford FC Women and I'm a coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Donka. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, first as a player and then as a referee.
My name's Liam Walsh. I'm a retired referee, currently an FA observer and head coach for the Middlesex Referees Academy.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thank you, George. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So we've got three players in shot, player in the background. He's blurred. He's just looking across, can't see his eyes or anything. We've got two players who look to be focused on the ball, which I think is just above this red player in the middle's head. I think we've got quite a narrow band up from him. I'll draw it up from his eyes. So we've got two good eyes. This one's got a bit of white to the left of his eyes. We're looking at it, and that goes up through Leo. And then we've got this other eye here, which goes up through Aries on a little bit on the right. So it's quite a narrow band up. And then from this player in green, he's just looking across at the ball. And we have Andy's at the highest by some degree and a couple of people at the bottom there. So firstly, I'll come to the middle there. Hugh, your light blue cross there. You're just in the middle of everything, all the action here, so to speak. How did you see the photo?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, for me, two players in shot with clear eye lines. Didn't look at the guys in the background. But for me, I think the player on the left in green was looking up slightly. He's obviously further back from it, but his head isn't tilted particularly. But I think his eye line is looking up. I felt the ball's kind of above the red player. We said before, you can't look straight through your eyebrows. I felt he's just looking ever so slightly over to the right, but I think it's kind of straight up above him. But it's still a little distance away because neither of them, although the red player looks like he's starting to back in or try and get a position in front of the green, neither of them are moving to play the ball yet. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think you're right there, Hugh, that the player in green on the left is a little bit further towards us in the picture than the player in red. So the ball is a little bit in front of the player in red. But thank you. Matthew, you're just next to Hughes. There's your orange cross again in the midst of it all. Explain your position.
Yeah, I don't think the ball's been played yet. I think they're both anticipating the ball. But to be honest, we've got good eyes here, so I've just used the eyes on this one. I think the player in the green, his head angle is probably lower than I've placed it because I think his eyes are just looking slightly upwards from some sort of the angle of his head. And then Hugh put it really well in terms of the eyes of the red player. So I just crossed those two over and placed it there.
Yeah, I should have said before, you can see a little bit of white underneath this, the green player's eye at the bottom, which exactly what you've just said. Thank you. Peter, you're the purple cross there, again, sort of in the middle of the main cluster. How did you see this?
Yeah, the two players, the player in the red looks like he could be favourite for the ball. His facial expression is interesting. He's got his mouth open-ish and looking up. But when you look at the screen to the right, and again with Hugh and Matthew taking the distance away from the players in red, using the player on the left, in green looking across, slightly looking, even though his face is looking more horizontal, but his eyes are looking further up. So that's where I've cross-referenced the centre of the ball with those eye lines.
Great, thank you. And there, Leo, you're sort of in line with the previous three judges. There you are, just you're ever so slightly to the left. There's your blue cross. How did you see the shot?
Yeah, hi Matt. Yeah, right. The player in green, I got my height from him. I think he's looking across, but not too steeply. The player in red, I think he is slightly going to back into this player in green. So I think he's still adjusting his position. I think his head is fairly tilted. So what I did, Matt, I just drew two lines that directly went above his eye line, and I put my cross sort of in the middle of those eye lines. As I said, I just think he's still adjusting his position. So I kind of went directly above him. Yeah,
great, thank you. And then on the sort of same plane as me, Rene, there you are, pink cross, again in the sort of in the main cluster. How did you see this?
Yeah, pretty similar to everybody else, to be honest. I think it's likely probably the ball is going over the player in red's head, and he's trying to sort of back up into the player in green to try and adjust his body to maybe try and get something on the ball. I drew, obviously we've got two good eyes, so I drew lines up from then and essentially went in what I thought was the middle of those of his eyes, and then I just got the height from the player in green.
Yeah, great, thank you. And next to each other at the bottom here we have Nigel and Liam. I'll come to you first, Nigel. You're the yellow cross there that's magnified. Could you explain your position?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, similar to Leo, I felt that the player in red, his sight lines don't intersect. I feel they're both looking at very straight angle up, and so I took the midpoint between his two sight lines and intersected it with the player in green, who I think is looking up but not steeply, just roughly at the angle from his head. You can see a little bit of the white of his eyes. That's all. So yeah, I took mine from there.
Great, thank you. And Liam, you're just next to Nigel's there. You're the light pink cross, and then I'll highlight you there.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, realistically, I can only reiterate what's already been said, Matt. You've got the guy in red. I think he's just looking a little bit more to the right, because if you look at his eyes, you can see the white of his eyes. So for me, it's projecting the ball to his left. The ball's in front of him. And then I used the guy in green. He's got that clear vision. He may well be looking to challenge for the ball. But I just went on his eye line, and I just, up and down it this morning and looking at it, seeing where does it sit comfortable? Where can I say yes? And that's what I did. I kept it simple. I just kept this one simple.
Thank you very much. Ari, you're the light green cross there, ever so slightly to the right. And I'll put the magnifier of yours. Did you see it any differently, or do you concur?
Similar as the colleagues as well. I just felt the play in red in the middle. When I zoomed in on his eyes, I felt that he was just slightly a little bit more to the right. That's why I came to that decision. I felt player in green is just preparing to get involved. I think he's going to arrive slightly a bit late. Playing red, is moving backwards, is lifting his right arm already to protect his position from the play in green coming across to him. And yeah, so when I drew my lines, I felt that it was just slightly a bit to the right.
Great, thank you very much. Last but not least, Andy, you're the dark green cross. at the top of the rest of the judges' choices. How did you see this? Obviously saw it slightly differently height-wise, but what did you see in the photo?
Thanks, Matt. It's again agree with my previous colleagues there. That the guy in red, I felt regarding his body language, I think the ball's just sort of popped up. I don't think it's flying over or whatever. I think it's popped up one way or the other. They've both got their eyes intently on it. The guy in the green on the left and the guy in the centre of the picture. But the fellow in the centre, I feel that his body language, he's sort of twisting. His head isn't exactly parallel to where he's looking up, because as you can see by his mouth, it's almost like a gurney sort of, half twist. But his eyes are like obviously fairly sharp on the centre of the ball, which I think we're all in that line. But where I slightly differ, obviously, from the vast or the whole rest of you guys, is that I did think that the guy in green was looking slightly further up. In reflection, I would have probably come down somewhere between Ari and myself. But yeah, the only reason I just thought the guy in green was looking for the centre of the ball for me was a little bit further up.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we have we're sort of an agreement with this guy looking up in his direction. It's quite a narrow spread. I'm going to remove Andy's because I think he's far enough away from the rest of the group for me as lead judge to remove him, and that gives us a much narrower sight line up from this player in green. Now, I'm going to have a vote to do with Arid's cross, because as you see, if we keep Arid's cross in and put the main cluster here, he's ever so slightly popping out to the right. And if Arid's is removed, this comes into actually what is a very tight cluster indeed, with the center of the ball shown as this calculated average here with the magnifier over it. So I am going to remove Andy, and then we're going to have a vote, and please put any other thoughts you have and whether you want to see Aries back in or not as we go along. So Andy?
I would keep Aries in. I think that with the cursor over it, it looks okay.
Okay, thank you. Nigel?
I would, I feel that without Aries cross in, it brings the centre of the ball down closer to where I believe it is. So I would vote for Ari out.
Okay, thank you. Leo?
I will keep Ari in. I just think it's very plausible where he is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Matthew?
Yeah, I'd keep Ari in too. I just think the green player's looking that bit further up.
Yeah. Peter?
I'd have him removed. I just think the tighter cluster gives a better average.
Thank you. Hugh?
I'd say remove, just brings it in all of us under the coverage of the circle like before.
Yeah, thank you. Renee?
Yeah, I would remove him. I think even though I like that he's out to the right, I just think it's that little bit lower. So I'd remove him.
Yeah, thank you. And lastly, Liam?
I am going to ask for him to be removed, please, as per criteria.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah, because it really is only that. It's not that Aries, and I'll put Aries' choice back in there, isn't plausible or a valid choice. It's just that this brings us into quite a tight cluster. Okay, so thank you. So George, after myself removing Andy as lead judge, we've taken a panel vote to also remove Aries to bring this calculated average into a tight as cluster as we can.
Great, thanks, Matt. If everyone's happy, please click submit. Thank you, judges. The winning coordinates are 27921127. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company ASITS to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.